She got shot saving a stranger. Then they told her the man never existed. But a coin left at her bedside changed everything. The shot in the dark? Rain tapped steadily on the pavement outside St. Vincent General, drenching the deserted parking lot in silver streaks. It was 2:46 a.m., and the night shift had drained everything from Grace Holloway. 27, sharp-eyed, and relentlessly compassionate, Grace was the kind of nurse who stayed an extra hour without being asked. Her father's voice, forever etched into her memory, guided her through every tired step. Be the right person when it matters most. Grace tugged her hoodie tight over her scrubs as she stepped out the back entrance. The cold bit through the fabric, but she welcomed it, anything to wake her up on the drive home. As she fumbled for her car keys, a muffled thud stopped her. Across the lot, near the far exit, a man staggered beneath the orange haze of a broken street lamp. His movements were erratic, his silhouette hunched and trembling. Then he crumpled to the ground. She froze. A part of her hesitated. Maybe he was drunk. Maybe it was a setup. But then came the instinct, louder than doubt, run. She sprinted toward him, her shoes splashing through shallow puddles. Hey! Sir, can you hear me? She called, crouching by his side. His face was slick with rain and blood. A gash above his brow. A chest wound, fresh, bleeding. Eyes wide with something more than pain, fear. They're coming, he murmured, gripping her wrist weakly. Don't let them. A sharp crack split the air. The sound of a gunshot echoed off the hospital walls. Grace didn't think. Her body moved before her mind could. She threw herself over him, arms wide, covering his chest. A searing pain exploded in her shoulder. She gasped, falling forward. Her vision blurred, stars dancing as heat radiated from the wound. The man's breath was shallow beneath her. She tried to speak to stay conscious. In the distance, sirens. Footsteps pounding. Then nothing. Darkness folded around her like a final curtain. The ghost and the coin. The world came back slowly. Sounds were muffled like underwater echoes. Grace Holloway opened her eyes to sterile white light and the rhythmic beep of a heart monitor. Her shoulder throbbed. Morphine blurred the edges of her thoughts, but not enough to erase what had happened. She tried to sit up, wincing, and saw a nurse rushing over. Easy, Miss Holloway. You're safe. The man on the parking lot. Did he make it? The nurse's gentle smile faltered. There was no one else found. Just you. Her throat tightened. No. He was there. I covered him, he was bleeding. But the nurse only shook her head. And so began the whispers. Over the next few days, Grace learned the ugly price of confusion. Hospital staff murmured behind clipboards. A reporter tried to sneak into her room. Online, headlines questioned her sanity. Nurse fabricates heroism? Grace Holloway, victim or accomplice? She stopped checking her phone. Until one night, for days after the incident, she awoke with a start. Her room was empty. The hall eerily quiet. She glanced at her tray table. And froze. Lying neatly beside her untouched dinner, a dark coin with an eagle insignia. Next to it, a folded piece of paper. Her fingers trembled as she opened it. You saved more than you know. Hold the line. And see. Her heart pounded. She stared at the coin, thick, cool metal with worn edges. A military challenge coin. Something her father used to carry. She rang for the nurse. When staff arrived, the note and the coin were gone. The next day, things began to shift. An unfamiliar orderly stood too long outside her room before disappearing down the stairs. A maintenance man checked her light switch twice in 1 hour. A kind nurse named Emily, who brought her tea every evening, suddenly stopped coming. When Grace asked, the others claimed Emily never worked there. Her phone glitched, blacking out. Messages disappeared. Once a man in a long coat stood watching her from the end of the hallway. When she blinked, he was gone. And then came him. Colonel Whitaker didn't knock. He simply appeared in the doorway one rainy afternoon, flanked by silence. Miss Holloway. He was built like stone, with iron gray hair and eyes that had seen too much. His voice was measured, clipped. I'm here off the record. What I'm about to tell you does not leave this room. Grace said nothing. The man you saved is Captain Noah Carter. Intelligence operations. He was en route with encrypted data, critical information about a planned attack on U.S. soil. We believe they were tracking him when he collapsed. Because of your intervention, we gained 72 hours. That gave us time to decode the files, neutralize the threat, and stop 4 simultaneous bombings. Her mouth went dry. I don't understand. Why lie? Why erase it? Because that's how this world stays standing. Quiet hands in the dark. He paused, then placed a box on her table. Inside, the coin. This time engraved. Grace Holloway, valor in shadows. Tears welled up, but she didn't let them fall. Why me? She whispered. Colonel Whitaker stood. Because you were there. And because your father was right. You were the right person when it mattered. And then he left. The door clicked shut. The room was silent. Only the coin remained, catching the light like a quiet medal of truth. The Hall of Silence. The day of her release came with little fanfare. No reporters. No headlines. Just a gray sky and the antiseptic smell of hospital corridors she once knew by heart. Grace Holloway dressed in silence, her shoulders still stiff beneath the bandages. No one mentioned the bullet anymore. Only the A incident, like a fog people preferred not to walk through. At the front desk an envelope waited. No sender, no return address. Inside, a single line typed. South Atrium. 12 p.m. Please come. You deserve to see what silence remembers. The note smelled faintly of rain. She found her way through the hospital's forgotten wing, where old photos lined the walls and light bulbs flickered with age. The South Atrium, once used for staff celebrations, now stood hollow, stripped of decoration. But as she stepped inside, Grace stopped cold. 6 men and women in uniform stood in formation beneath a skylight veiled by clouds. Not a word spoken. Not a single camera. A small podium stood off to the side. Upon it, a velvet-lined box. A folded flag. And the coin, her coin, now polished, mounted on a plaque. Grace Holloway. For uncommon valor in uncertain shadows. No anthem. No applause. Just the sound of breath and the solemn beat of time. Colonel Whitaker was there. He didn't speak much. He only approached her, met her eyes, and said softly, "The history will not record this. But some of us do." He handed her the plaque with both hands. Not with protocol, but reverence. Like passing a flame. A nurse she didn't know brought her a single white rose. Then a low murmur stirred the silence. Grace turned. In the far archway, barely visible, a man in civilian clothes leaned against the wall. Pale scar over his eyebrow. A limp in his stance. Eyes like coals that had once burned hot. Noah Carter. For one fragile second, the noise of the world fell away. Their eyes met. She didn't smile. Neither did he. But something passed between them, acknowledgement deeper than gratitude. A thread only they would ever feel. Then he gave her the faintest nod. And was gone. No fanfare. No goodbye. Just the echo of boots on marble. Grace stood alone now, the coin heavy in her palm. The rose in the other. The silence enveloped her, not empty but full. Of meaning. Of lives not lost. Of the choice she made without thinking. Outside, the clouds broke open. A single shaft of light struck the atrium floor. She looked up. And she remembered her father's words. Be the right person when it matters most. She didn't wear a cape. She wore scrubs. She didn't plan to be a hero. She just showed up when it mattered most. Her name is Grace Holloway. And though history may not remember her, lives were saved because she said yes asterisk. And maybe one day your moment will come too. You don't have to be perfect. Just present. Just ready. Just brave. When it comes, will you say yes? If this story moved you, share it. If you believe in quiet courage, like and comment. And if you want more stories that shine a light on the unseen, subscribe. Turn on notifications. Be part of this journey.